Okay, this is question 1 of conditional probability on my iMaths. It's called the driving test, and it says to get a driving license you need to pass a theory test and a practical. The probability that Joe passes his theory test is 0.8, so that can go straight in the tree diagram, 0.8, and therefore we can put that the chance that he fails his theory test is 0.2, because he's either got to pass or fail. So it's certain to be one or the other. So those two probabilities have got to add up to 1. If he passes the theory test, he has a 0.7 chance of passing his practical. Okay, so we can put that 0.7 straight in. If he passes the theory, then he's got a 0.7 chance of passing the practical. And then we can say, well, in that case, he must have a 0.3 chance of failing the practical, because he's either going to pass or fail the practical, having passed his theory. So those two probabilities have got to add up to 1. Otherwise, it says his chance of passing the practical is only 0.2. So if he fails the theory, then his chance of passing the practical is 0.2. And then we can say in that case, his chance of failing the practical must be 0.8, because again, those two probabilities have got to add up to 1, because he's either going to pass or fail the practical having passed the theory. So it says find the probability that he gets his driving license. Well, he'll get his driving license if he passes the theory and the practical. So probability pass both. Pass both. Well, when two things have both got to happen, you're multiplying. So pass the theory, 0.8, times pass the practical, 0.7, and that comes to 0.56. So the probability that he gets his driving license is 0.56. Okay, it says given that he fails to get his driving license, find the probability that he failed because of his practical only. Well, let's just draw the tree diagram on my little pad here. So he can, he's got the theory, which he can either pass or, let's say, pass or fail. And then he's got the practical, which he can either pass or fail. Normally I wouldn't draw a tree diagram from left to right. I'd normally do it from right to left, but he can pass or fail. Pass or fail the practical. Okay, so let's put some numbers on this. So 0.8 that he passes the theory, 0.2 that he fails the practical. If he passes the theory, then it's a 0.7 chance that he passes the practical and 0.3 that he fails the practical. But if he fails the theory, then it's 0.2 that he passes the practical and 0.8 that he fails the practical. Okay, so we can just multiply these out. So pass is 0.8 times 0.8, which is 0.56, as we saw. Fail is 0.8 times 0.3, which is 0.24. Fail pass is 0.2 times 0.2, which is 0.04. And fail is 0.2 times 0.8, which is 0.16. If we've done those correctly, they should add up to 1, because it represents all the possible outcomes. Okay, so given that he fails to get his driving license, find the probability that he failed because of his practical only. Well, I like to look at these with Venn diagrams. So I've made one earlier. I've got two circles, one for if he passes the theory and one for if he passes the practical. So if he's in the middle there, then he's passed both. And we've seen that the probability of that passing both is 0.56. So probability of passing both 0.56. If he passes the theory but fails the practical, then he's in this bit here. So pass the theory, fail the practical, and that's 0.24. 0.24. If he fails the theory but passes the practical, then he's in this bit. So fail theory, pass practical, that's 0.04. So 0.04 in that bit. And then finally he could fail both, and that was fail 0.16. So let's just put 0.16 there. So the question is, given that he fails to get his driving license, well, that information that you're given is important because it tells you that he's not in that bit where they pass both. So he is amongst the 0.24, 0.04 and 0.16. So he's either failed because he's passed one or the other, but failed the other one, or he's failed because he's failed both. So the probability is going to be out of, that's the wrong pen for that. The probability calculation is going to be out of the 0.24 plus 0.04 plus 0.16, because we know he's somewhere in that. We know he's not in the bit where he passed. So it says find the probability that he failed because of his practical only. So that means he failed his practical but passed his theory. So what's the chance, in other words, that he's in the bit where he passed the theory but failed the practical, given that we know he's somewhere in those three bits? So I'll just undo my scribbles there. So we're saying we want him to be in the 0.24 that passed the theory but failed the practical, out of the 0.24 plus 0.04 plus 0.16 that we know he must be in. So that's just a question of doing that calculation. So that's, let me just do that in my head. That's the same as 0.24 over 0.44, which is the same as 24 over 44, which simplifies to 6 over 11, doesn't it? But I want that as a decimal. So I'm just going to open a tab for Desmos calculator and do 6 divided by 11. 0.5454 recurring, I should have known that, which is 0.55 to 2 decimals, so 0.55. Let's just mark that. 7 out of 7.